I hope y'all had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Let's wrap up this week with some NASCAR news and a few general thoughts before the pivotal antitrust trial begins on Monday. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. Happy Friday, folks. Happy Black Friday. Speaking of Black Friday, I've got a special deal to tell y'all about, courtesy of my friends at Forney Industries. Forney is one of America's longest-running family-owned names in welding and metalworking. Whether you're just getting started or you've been burning metal since before the internet existed, Forney's got the gear to keep your projects moving. And for Black Friday, Forney is offering 25% off their Forney Easy Weld 140 MP welder only on ForneyInd.com. This deal is only available through December 2nd, so if you've been wanting to add a new toy to your shop, this is the moment. Big thank you to Forney for sponsoring the show. You can click the link down in the description to take advantage of this special offer, or head to ForneyInd.com, ForneyInd.com. I hope you all had a fantastic Thanksgiving. I was at the in-laws, and for the second year in a row, I'm now 2 for 2 in frying turkeys without burning any part of the house down. We have a pretty good batting average so far. I didn't spend a lot of time on social media yesterday, but one of the few times I did log on, remember like 2 weeks ago when I said this? I almost get like Herbie the Love Bug vibes from the stripe and the colors. Carson Hocevar is like, what, 22 years old? He's probably never seen Herbie the Love Bug. Somebody get this guy Herbie Fully Loaded on DVD or VHS or whatever year that came out. Someone make sure Carson Hocevar understands the reference I just made. Well, yesterday, Carson Hocevar posted this photo. Hey, they're watching Herbie Fully Loaded. Awesome. Interesting TV setup, though, I gotta say. I agree with most of the replies who say it was very Michael Scott dinner party coded. I don't know why, but I find nearly everything Carson Hocevar posts to be just so silly and amusing for whatever reason. In other news, I guess, I missed this earlier this week, but Connor Zilisch and Shane Van Gisbergen will have slightly different Red Bull paint schemes in 2026. According to the press release, Red Bull will have 25 primaries total this year, split between SVG and Zilisch. You can catch a glimpse of them right here. I still love the oversized Red Bull design on the door. I think it's fun that Zilich's car has some sort of blue colors, whereas SVG's a little more red. I don't know if Red Bull will pull a Monster Energy and put both these cars on track at the same time, but if they do, there are some subtle differences to tell them apart. Good-looking schemes, good-looking designs. In other news, can we call it news? Someone sent this to me. It was posted on Reddit, but someone noticed that if you go to NASCAR.com and rifle over to the schedule tab and look at 2026, they no longer designate certain races as playoff races. They just show the full 38 race schedule on its own. Does this mean NASCAR is dumping the playoffs? No, probably not. Just like it meant almost nothing when NASCAR first introduced the 2026 schedule with playoff races labeled, I think this means just as little. The only thing this means is that NASCAR behind the scenes is still seriously deliberating what the next format will be. And I believe all reports that they're deciding between a modified elimination style playoffs with a larger final round, some form of a simplified 10-race playoff, and I think there is still a chance at a full 36-race season with no playoff format, no resets. I do not believe NASCAR has made a final decision just yet, but I am convinced that the one-race winner-take-all championship for finale is a thing of the past. And if that's the case, might as well update the 2026 schedule graphic to not confuse folks who may be looking to get a head start on their ticket purchases for 2026. While I don't know when NASCAR will announce this new format, I wouldn't be surprised if they wait until after the holidays, wait until after the new year. While the fans, the industry will be feeling a little bit more refreshed, ready for a reset, looking ahead to Daytona. That timing makes the most sense to me to announce it publicly, but I wonder if they will inform the teams internally sooner. I don't think they have to, but under the old format, Team Penske was able to dial in their short flat track setups and use that to their advantage. If I'm a race team right now, engineers, and I have no idea what the new format is going to be, how do I know what to dedicate my time to? I guess the simple answer is, hey, just be good everywhere. Be good at the intermediates, the short tracks, the road courses, cover all your bases. And if everyone is operating in the dark like that, hey, it's still fair. So we'll see. I don't have an issue with NASCAR holding off until after the new year to make this announcement, but we'll see. Maybe if the trial next week is getting ugly, maybe NASCAR tries to divert our attention and makes the announcement sooner than expected. We'll see. Time will tell. Speaking of the lawsuit, the antitrust case between NASCAR and 2311 Front Row officially kicks off next week. Monday, December 1st, trial begins in Charlotte, North Carolina. Up to this point, I've refrained from giving my opinion on who I think is going to win the lawsuit, really because I tend to agree with what Judge Bell has said, that the longer this goes on, the less likely there are any true winners on either side. I have been willing to throw out some opinion on, who I feel has the most leverage. Like early on when they were negotiating the new charter deal, NASCAR clearly had the most leverage. They're the ones who had signed the multi-billion-dollar deal. They're the brand, own a lot of the tracks, and the teams weren't exactly unified. But as time has gone on and this case has evolved, it does feel like the pendulum has shifted a bit. It feels like 2311 and Front Row now have at least a little more momentum, especially as the scope of this case has narrowed. And what I mean by that is essentially when this all began, there were three main arguments, three things that needed to be decided. First, is NASCAR a monopoly? Second, has NASCAR used that monopoly power to harm the teams? And then thirdly, there was NASCAR's countersuit against the teams where they alleged that the teams illegally conspired against them. As time has gone on, that third point is moot. The judge threw out NASCAR's countersuit a few weeks back. And then that first point, is NASCAR a monopoly? Recently, Judge Bell chose to define the market in this case as premier stock car racing. Not sports or motorsports more broadly. No. Now the question is, does NASCAR have a monopoly in the premier stock car racing market? Which I'm no antitrust expert, but that's going to be more difficult for NASCAR to disprove, I feel. So again, we started with three main points. We're down to two, in some ways, maybe 1.5, let's say. But my point in bringing up the antitrust case here on this Friday, before the weekend, before things really kick off, I think it's important to note that the many great racing industry reporters who are going to be covering this case, it's important to note that few, if any of them, are going to dramatically take sides throughout this process. And it's not because they're afraid of wronging someone or getting on someone's bad side. I think it's genuinely because most NASCAR reporters have integrity and, like myself, are willing to admit that they are not, quote unquote, antitrust experts. As I've said all along, I have no idea who's going to win this case, if anyone. And I think the vast majority of reporters in the NASCAR industry would agree with that. And I think anyone out there who claims to know with absolute certainty which side is going to come out on top, I think they're just taking a shot in the dark. This is not a slam dunk, open and shut case for anyone on either side. So I think that's important to note when fans are reading work from other reporters the next few weeks, or if you're watching any of my videos. I think that context matters. I'll wrap things up there. I am curious to know what you think down in the comment section below. Now that we are practically on the eve of the antitrust trial actually beginning, how are you feeling about 2311 and Front Row's stance? Recent reports suggest other teams still want 2311 and Front Row to back down a bit. Other team owners are still hoping for a settlement sooner rather than later. How do you feel? Let me know down in the comments. I just wanted to touch base before everything goes down here in just a couple of days. Have a great rest of your weekend, y'all. I will talk with you again very, very soon.